Hey friends. So I had an image come to me this morning. I was standing doing my Qigong practice, and for whatever reason, I there's a certain like I felt an emotional wave. It's like I don't know if you know this experience of like a habitual emotional pattern where it's like just sinking into feeling a certain way. And a lot of times it's not like a super prominent feeling. It's not one that necessarily you would notice because it's kind of habitual. It happens regularly. And I've spoken many times about this on this post. And I do a lot of work with this with my students. But basically, I had the experience and I felt it sort of take hold. And then I was like, wait, what am I doing? Why would I go to this place when I could just as easily go to another, like go somewhere else? And I had this image pop into my head of like my psyche being like a planet, but like a planet that I live inside. So instead of living on the surface of a round planet, it's like I'm the core, my sense of myself, my I is at the center of a planet, and it's literally like a huge, vast planet, and it's got compartments and rooms and dimensions and skylights and just everything you could possibly imagine. And when I go to this emotional place, this kind of like mildly self-recriminating, awkward, uncomfortable place, I'm like crawling into one little dark cubby hole and just like sitting there. And I was like, why on God's earth would I do that? There's a whole universe here. There's a whole planet for me to explore. I can go anywhere else in my psyche just as easily. Why do I keep crawling into this particular cubbyhole? It's kind of like dimly lit and sort of like dank, and you're worried that there's some mold on the seams. It's like, what? Why would I choose to do that? Now, obviously, the answer is because habitually, for whatever reason, I have a pattern that likes to do that. But it doesn't take too much time away, or it doesn't take, all it takes is a little bit of a break in the compulsiveness. And then you go, what was I even thinking? How did that ever, and by the way, when did that become a comfortable place to be? Like, what made that feel good? Now, there's almost always a good reason for that. There's almost always a good reason why a dysfunctional mental or emotional pattern became a pattern in the first place. We generally don't, as like nascent growing buds of consciousness, just go to places like that for no reason. There's usually a provocation. Sometimes there's trauma, right? There's all kinds of reasons why we would go there. So there usually is a good reason. But when you think about it rationally from the point of view of somebody who has the choice, it's like, what on earth reason would compel me to do that now? And it's like no good reason other than your own compulsiveness. So it was just a very liberating feeling because I was suddenly able to take something that happens to me a lot. I've noticed it. It's not an uncommon experience, but I was able to go, whoa, why? Do I have another choice here? Let me unpack this a little bit. Let me go somewhere else and see what it feels like to think about my life and all the same things, but from this perspective. What does that do to my, and I mean, literally, and I'm literally doing Qigong, right? I'm standing there doing an energy practice. It's physical and energetic, but like there's all this energetic movement involved. Maybe that was helpful in terms of catching this and kind of like transmuting it, because I'm letting my energy bubble. I'm letting my energy expand and contract. Just kind of breathe, be supple, breathing it into parts of my body that, you know, maybe I haven't, just need to come online a little bit. And suddenly it's almost like that feeling you get when you drink a cup of coffee or something, and I don't know how many of you have like a sensitive relationship to caffeine. For me, if I take like a half a shot of espresso, there's this little like joy flash that happens, and it happens a minute or two after, just a few, usually 3-4 minutes after I drink caffeine. I go, wow, and it's like, okay, now you're here, you've arrived. I've read research that says caffeine doesn't go into your system for 30 minutes, but that's got to be bullshit, because there's no way. I know what I'm feeling is related to the coffee that I just drank. It's how it works. Anyway, it was very liberating to feel that shift and to recognize, oh, I can choose this anytime this pattern decides to try and jump me. Like anytime that I feel that urge to like crawl into the cubby hole and just be disempowered and sad, I can do something completely different. I can show up. I can get excited about the same things in my life that are that in another, in the first, like according to the first pattern, are the reasons to be disappointed or worried or scared or frustrated, or those same exact elements of life, circumstances, events can become fuel for joy, even, and certainly for inspiration and productive thinking. It's like it was a really interesting reframe that happened, and so I'm sitting with that today. I'm naming it. I'm kind of like giving it the reason I wanted to speak about it is because it felt like something. It felt like a significant. It felt like a significant recognition of my own capacity to make that choice, to make a different choice when that particular timbre of pattern comes over me. I have a choice to go a different way. So that's just kind of what came up, and I was really grateful for it. I was really excited to dive into my day. The whole rest of my morning kind of cruised from there in a way that was really inspiring, and kind of, it just set me up for had a great time with my students today. It's been a good day, and it was almost like a pattern that otherwise, sometimes I'll feel that pattern happen, and I've noticed now, like when there's a full moon in the sky, and it enhances the feelings that we're having, or it enhances our baseline state. This is how Sadhguru put it in a book that he wrote, that I read a couple years ago, and it was really compelling. I was like, oh, interesting. Whatever your baseline state is the thing that's going to be enhanced when the full moon comes out. So if your baseline state is kind of depressive and sad, then your depressive and sadness is going to swell. So this morning, as the feeling first came on, I was like, oh, is my baseline of malaise being enhanced? Because it's something I became kind of conscious of when I read that. I was like, oh, interesting. So When the full moon is out and I'm feeling something, that is actually a signal. I can learn from that. I can go, oh, my baseline state just became a little more visible to me. Now that I see it, I can choose what to do here. And that was exactly the experience I had today. I don't think it's a full moon, but I had that feeling of like, oh, something's bubbling up. But wait a minute. I can choose I can choose to not curl up into this cubby. I can choose to go to the basketball court. I can choose to go into nature and a beautifully grounded, wonderfully connected, peaceful state. I can choose to go into a high energy box where the energy is just compressed and it's almost like there's like electricity trapped in there, which can be really intense and kind of stressful, but is also a great place to go for creative work. When I'm songwriting, when I'm writing, I actually kind of like that compressed high energy space. I can go there. I don't have to crawl into the cubby. That's the moral of this long, long story that you just listened to. Thank you. I appreciate you. That's where I am today. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.